Good morning, everybody. Like a freight train, ready to conquer this card. UFC Vegas 3, Blaydes versus Volkov. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show brought to you by MMA Odds Breaker as well as Bet DSI. We've got 12 fights on the docket here, a 12-fight slate, 7 of which are expected to end inside the distance. So that is enticing, as well as some significant line value if you're playing DraftKings. So let's kick things off. First fight of the card, we've got a late notice replacement in Rohskopf. Rohskopf 8,400 minus 200 at the betting window right now. Originally, believe he opened at Bet Online at plus 120 as an underdog. And then on the other side of the fight, we've got Austin Hubbard, who is plus 160, 7,800. And Austin Hubbard, veteran of the sport, he has been thrown to the wolves. Initially, you look at the opening odds for Austin Hubbard in his past few matchups. Minus 750, Mark Madsen opened against Austin Hubbard. Then you also have Davi Ramos, who was at one point minus 585. And then before arriving to the UFC, he fought Moda. Moda was a minus 600 favorite. Hubbard fights out of Elevation in Colorado. We've seen Curtis Blaydes in his corner. Serviceable stand-up. Got great cardio. He's a survivor. That's the way I look at him. Yes, the win over Prepelec. He wasn't happy with that decision. And I wasn't very impressed with Hubbard in that fight. There are times when you want to avoid last-minute replacement fighters. I don't think this is one of them. I was a bit skeptical when I saw Rohskopf coming in as a last-minute replacement, but as you started to pull away the layers, he's got a very impressive high-caliber wrestling pedigree, immersed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What I notice on tape is some folks who are getting these early finishes, we hate on them because we haven't seen a lot of them inside of the octagon, but by most accounts, Rohskopf appears to be the real deal. So I initially was speculative at first, but as I dug a little bit deeper, Rohskopf is, in my eyes, the real deal, and he's got some squeeze on him. All of his victories have come via choke, and I expect him to come through in this spot. I waited until weigh-ins before making my pick here because you never know. Somebody coming in, he was supposed to take a fight at 170 pounds initially when Kevin Holland lost an opponent against Daniel Rodriguez, but Rohskopf dropping to 155. Give me Rohskopf to win via submission in this spot. And congrats to those who were able to lock him up at an incredible line. Next up, we head to the women's 125-pound division where we have Lauren Murphy taking on Roxanne Modafferi. Before I get into this, is there a way we can get Mads Burnell to come back to the UFC? Because to watch Lauren Murphy versus Roxanne Modafferi, I know we're dealing with the cards that were dealt with, but I'd kill to have Mads Burnell back in the UFC. By the way, Lauren Murphy, 7,700 minus 110 at the betting window. This line is closed. Roxanne Modafferi was a larger favorite at the open. 8,500 minus 120 favorite for Modafferi. Modafferi's going to look to try to get this fight to the ground. Lauren Murphy, we still have that bad taste in our mouths after her fight with Andrea Lee in Texas, where Murphy was awarded the decision despite appearing to be on the losing side of things. Murphy doesn't give up on herself. She's going to be coming to fight. She looked in great shape on the scales. Modafferi, tough as they come, 24-16 record, 37 years of age, been around the block. She is going to try to get a grappling heavy fight initiated. If she takes this fight to the ground, don't be surprised to see Modafferi excel, but Lauren Murphy's a workhorse. This could be a very close fight. I'm ever so slightly leaning Roxanne Modafferi, and I will pick her as the winner in this spot. She has the better grappling pedigree and seems to be on a roll despite the win over Macy Barber, where Macy sustained that horrific knee injury. Next up, we head to lightweights. We've got Justin Jaynes, 6,900 plus 265 at the betting window, taking on Frank the Crank Camacho. Camacho, 8,000 in DraftKings. He's one of these fighters where you have line value. Rohskopf is another fighter where you have line value. If you're playing DraftKings, minus 345 favorite for Camacho. Camacho, I wish we would have seen the Frivola Camacho fight, because I had Frivola in that spot. I just see a lot of holes in Camacho's game the longer the fight goes, and also Frivola's ability to force opponents to throw their game plans out the window by initiating chaos is a real problem. But now we have Justin Jaynes coming in here, who's 30 years old. He's a journeyman, came from the Michigan regional scene, and had been a coach over at Extreme Couture. And he's a wrestler. He is, I don't like saying this, but he's not much to write home about. Got tree trunk legs. Doesn't absorb strikes well. He's fighting a striker in Camacho who came in overweight at weigh-ins, weighed in at 158 pounds, and looked bad on the scales. He looked totally wiped out, but he's got more than 24 hours to rehydrate. He's not fighting somebody like Benny Dariush or Jeff Neal in this spot. Justin Jaynes, in my eyes, should be a bigger underdog here. I've got Camacho winning inside the distance. I think he's just going to put it on Jaynes, especially once we get a minute and a half into the fight. I see him really finding his groove and taking Jaynes out of there via TKO or brutal knockout. I saw Jaynes, the way he absorbs strikes, especially even way back on the regional scene. He's got I don't think he's UFC caliber. Hence the last-minute replacement. Next up, we head to the women's 125-pound division. We've got Jillian Robertson taking on Courtney Casey. Fascinating matchup here. Jillian Robertson left ATT 8,300 in DraftKings for Jillian, minus 120 at the betting window. Then we have Courtney Casey, 7,900, minus 110. Casey's coming in with a significant reach. She's coming off of the submission victory over Mara Romero Barella. Look at Courtney Casey's record. Both of these fighters have acquired a number of losses throughout their careers. Courtney Casey, you go back and watch the fight against Calvillo, and Calvillo, primarily a grappler, kept it standing in that fight and was able to have some success, even though I don't rate Calvillo highly on the feet at all. Robertson's going to need to take this fight to the ground to have any success. She has virtually no stand-up, and we know she can. She can grind people on the ground. Once it's there, she's got heavy top control. Casey, if she spends time on her back, and she's been prone, susceptible to getting taken down, I'm not highly inclined to believe that she's going to be able to pull a submission off her back in this spot. I am going to be rolling with Jillian Robertson to get this done inside the distance. This play does not have a lot of conviction on my side. I want to preface that because Robertson, she's a bit of an unknown in that switching camps at this stage in her career, only 25 years of age. I don't know what happened with her and Din Thomas and the crew down there. They seemed inseparable, and things change. Life happens. So give me Robertson to get this fight onto the ground and lock up a submission. Dangerous fight to wager on, though. Next up, we head to the men's 185-pound division. We've got middleweights. We've got Oscar Piechota taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault 7,600 over at BetDSI, minus 120 at the betting window. He was originally a dog. This line has flipped. Barriault, slow, plodding fighter, has numerous consecutive losses headed into this fight. Piechota, the same can be said for him. Actually, he came into the UFC as an undefeated fighter and now has lost 3 in a row. 8,600 in DraftKings for Piechota, minus 110 at the betting window. You lost the 8,600. I'm interested to see who's going to pay that price in DK. Granted, Piechota does have grappling credentials. He has a jiu-jitsu game. Rodolfo Vieira. We're on Rodolfo Vieira against Piechota, but there was some speculation headed into that matchup if Piechota was going to be able to hold his own. Problem here for Piechota is getting this fight to the ground. Barriault built like a brick shithouse. He has power. His stand-up technique looks to be a little bit better, but he's slow, and that's a concern of mine. The longer this fight goes, though, I expect Piechota to wear himself out and be backing up against the cage, and that's where I'm predicting Barriault to pour it on, and the small octagon, you'd think it would help Piechota in this spot as far as grappling goes, and that may be the case early on, but I have Barriault putting Piechota away later on in the fight, earning his first UFC victory. So give me Barriault to win. Next up, we have a matchup between two ladies, Tecia Torres and Brianna Van Buren. Van Buren, this fight takes place at 115 pounds. Van Buren comes in with a 9-2 record. She has a 1-inch reach advantage in this spot. Both of these ladies are very similar stature, except Torres spends a lot of time doing CrossFit and is more muscular. 7,200 for Tecia Torres, plus 180 underdog. I've seen Tecia Torres up to as high as plus 195 at certain books. Minus 220 for Van Buren, $9,000 in DraftKings. Now, this fight's expected to go to a decision at minus 435. Torres now 10-5. I tweeted something about a week ago, and it was, when was the last time you saw a fighter literally beat the confidence out of another fighter? And Marina Rodriguez, I believe, did that to Tecia Torres. She's sustained 4 consecutive losses in a row, granted to the highest competition at the 115-pound weight class. Jessica Andrade manhandled her. she came into that fight and metamorphosized into something that she isn't. She's a striker who is trying to grapple. 7 for 49 on takedown attempts for Tecia Torres in her UFC career. That's concerning. Granted, she's taking on the highest level of competition. Brianna the Bull Van Buren is coming in here. A lot of people, I know the line indicates that she's going to come in here and steamroll Torres, but I think this is going to be a fight where both fighters are engaging on the feet, and we're going to see if the previous adversity that Torres faced, those chinks in her armor are going to reveal themselves once again. Now, Torres, she's on the cusp of accomplishing a great feat. 5 consecutive losses, something that's never been done in women's UFC, any weight division. Torres, she's going to try and keep this at kicking range. Van Buren's going to try to close the distance and land takedowns. I'll be honest, this fight might not even hit the ground. Van Buren, she has the ability to take there. She also has great stand-up. She has great boxing. When these two are engaging, I don't like the way Torres has been turning away from strikes. And the Weili Zhang fight, the Joanna former champion fight, all that muscle, all that CrossFit, I don't think it's going to help her here. I have Van Buren, if she does take this fight to the ground, she is so little that she can level change easily, and it catches people off guard. You can see pieces of Daniel Cormier's game in her. She's been going to AKA since she was 14 years old. She's 26 now. And I really like what she did over at Invicta, and also her fight against Souza. She's got a little mean streak in her. And there was one point during the fight where Souza hit the ground and she kind of tapped her on her head. And that fight just showed me a little bit about what Van Buren is made of and what she's capable of. And be careful of getting lured into playing the odds, and you want to pick a fighter to win as well. So think about implied probability in this spot. I'm going to be picking Van Buren to get the job done here and hand Tecia Torres her 5th consecutive loss. Next up, men's 155-pound division. We've got Bobby Green taking on Clay Guida. Clay Guida, 38 years old, has 10 submission losses on his record. 19 losses overall. 7,100 for Clay Guida, plus 205 dog. I'm shocked he's still fighting in the UFC at this stage in his career, though he did look good on the scales. He is always energized. Clay Guida will never change. 9,100 for Bobby Green. Bobby Green, surprisingly only 33 years old. Minus 255 favorite. 1-inch reach advantage for Bobby Green. This fight's expected to go to a decision at minus 160. Bobby Green, also a veteran himself, 24-10-1 record. Bobby Green keeps himself in great shape. He's a tale of what could have been with Bobby Green. Has fought some great competition. Has looked really. He's looked like a world beater at times. Got solid boxing. Problem is, gets caught up. Is an emotional fighter. The wheels start to fall off mid-fight. Can't seem to put 15 minutes of a quality game plan together against his opponents. In this spot, though, he's facing an aging veteran in Clay Guida, who, man, you look at his last fight out against BJ Penn, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? BJ Penn is beyond a shell of himself, and Clay Guida hung in there. And I got to pick Bobby Green to win here. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bobby Green win this fight inside the distance in this spot. I think he's got more in the tank. I also think the Guida may come in here and try to initiate a grappling approach, which could pose problems for those playing green in DraftKings. So we have to consider that in this spot. And also, Bobby Green's a high-priced fighter at 9,100. So be careful out there in DraftKings world. Minus 160 to go to a decision. Give me Bobby Green to win, though. Next up, we have prospect versus veteran here. Jim Miller. This fight takes place at a catch weight of 160 pounds. Taking on Roosevelt Roberts. Miller coming in at $7,000 in DraftKings, plus 195 underdog. Miller now 36 years of age. This fight isn't expected to go to a decision at minus 125. Roosevelt Roberts, 9,200 in DK, minus 245 favorite. Both of these fighters made that 160-pound catch weight. You look at Roosevelt Roberts. He's such a narrow build for a tall fighter. 73-inch reach, has a 2-inch reach advantage in this spot. What he brings to the table, he's got I really like his use of range management. He also seems to pace himself pretty well. Doesn't go for the kill right off the bat. Jim Miller, dangerous fighter, dangerous early. Man, I remember I've seen him fight since the beginning. 45 fight veteran. Incredible jiu-jitsu. Came close to a title a few times. In this spot, the younger fighter, Roosevelt Roberts, is going to be so much faster on the feet. He's going to be able to change. He's going to be able to use his footwork. And I think that's going to be the game changer in this spot, the quickness and the footwork. Jim Miller, though, if he is able to get this fight to the ground, especially in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if he scrambles to the back and chokes out Roosevelt Roberts. Roosevelt Roberts, although he does have a solid ground game, it's nowhere near at the level of Jim Miller's. And Jim Miller, you watch his fight against Scott Holtzman last time out, he hangs in there, man. He's a gritty war horse. I watched him, I was at his fight against Dustin Poirier a number of years ago, and the way he finished that fight, he gave Poirier problems. That was a few years ago. The Lyme's disease appears to have been put on hiatus. Right now he's got that under control. Give me Roosevelt Roberts to win. I see Roosevelt Roberts as the younger, more athletic fighter with such quickness, and I think that Roosevelt Roberts, believe it or not, can get this done inside the distance. I think he pours it on and finishes Miller in the late second. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Roosevelt Roberts, late second. Next up, we are headed to welterweights. We've got Lyman Good taking on Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad, 8,900 in DK, minus 125 at the betting window. Still 31 years old. Lyman Good coming off of his COVID experience. Also the loss of his father, 7,300 for Lyman Good, minus 105 at the betting window. 35 years of age. This guy's been fighting for a long time. He has a 21-5 overall record. Spent some time in Bellator. This fight's expected to go to a decision at minus 160. The way I see this fight playing out, Lyman Good, tough to take down early. Belal Muhammad, I see he's going to try to initiate grappling sequences here, try to drain Lyman Good. It's going to be very dangerous closing distance on him. I was at Lyman Good. I've been actually at a couple of Lyman Good fights. I was at his fight against Dos Santos. And also against Ben Saunders. And the Dos Santos fight, you could see that Lyman Good, he can take it, man. I'm not saying Muhammad has tremendous power, but Good has a decent gas take. The way I have this fight going is Bilal Muhammad. I think he's going to chain takedowns at middle half towards the end of the rounds, and he'll be able to secure them. He's going to have to change levels and catch Lyman Good off guard because Good has his initial takedown defense has held up. So towards the end of the rounds, I see Bilal Muhammad working his wrestling in and draining Lyman Good and basically using his high fight IQ to win rounds here. I'm going to be picking Bilal Muhammad to win by decision, but you are playing with fire in this spot because Lyman Good does have fight-ending power, and he could turn anybody's lights off. The other thing that I think does make a difference in this spot is the smaller octagon is going to help Bilal Muhammad here. He has some survival instincts. I remember when he came onto the scene against Joe Ban, I was like, wow, this guy, his striking defense is horrific. You watch the Jeff Neal fight, there have been a number of fights where he's just been popped on the button, but he doesn't seem to go away. And he hangs in there, tough as nails. Give me Bilal Muhammad to win by decision. Next up, we've got women's 135-pounders. We've got the ageless wonder, Marion-Reneau. Happy birthday to Marion-Reneau. She turns 43 years of age today. 7,400 in DK, plus 155 underdog. Marion-Reneau. By the way, we can go back to Bilal Muhammad. There is no line value on him from a DraftKings perspective. 8,900 in DraftKings for a minus 125 favorite. That's a dangerous play. Marion-Reneau, 9-5-1 record. She's I believe, a gym teacher. She has some fabulous jiu-jitsu. She's also tough as nails, hard to put out of there. Raquel Pennington has been beaten to a bloody pulp many times in her fights. Still only 31 years of age. Plodding fighter. 8,800 minus 185 at the betting window. I've always been leery of making plays against Raquel Pennington since the Aldana fight. She has a well that she's able to dig into that I wasn't aware of, and she has serviceable stand-up. She's not great at anything. This spot, though, Reneau, I suspect she'll have some success early, but the longer the fight goes, she'll be drained. And Pennington, I expect her to force this fight against the cage, similar to, she got pushed against the cage against Holly Holm. But I think we'll see the opposite spectrum here. I think Pennington will be clenching and looking to get Reneau against the cage and looking to grind her out for a decision victory. So give me Rocky Pennington here. Next up, co-main event of the evening, we've got Shane Burgos taking on Josh Emmett. Shane Burgos coming in at 8,700. The line has widened significantly here. Burgos now up to minus 160. 29 years old. Shane Burgos comes in with a significant reach advantage here against the Team Alpha Male fighter Josh Emmett, who has a 15-2 record. 7,500 for Josh Emmett, plus 130 at the betting window. Josh Emmett, no spring chicken here. 35 years of age. Has solid wrestling that he doesn't use very often. Has fight-ending power that we're aware of. Has put a number of fighters lights out. Shane Burgos, another fighter, I've been to a few of his fights, and I've felt the electricity of the crowd when he gets going, because he's one of the prettiest strikers to watch when he finds his groove, and he finds his groove very quickly. Challenges, though, he's fought with his hands down in almost every matchup, and he's been caught a number of times. So he's got to be careful in this spot. He's playing with fire against Josh Emmett, who is a low output striker, but when he does put things together, he makes those strikes count. The Ricardo Lamas knockout was something that, oh man, I still can't get that out of my head. I was on Lamas in that spot, and I remember Emmett came and missed weight, but it didn't take him long to land that kill shot. And we've seen him do that a few times. Shane Burgos, he struggled with Makwan Amirkhani, was losing the striking exchanges in the first round. Even in the beginning of the second round, he was getting caught. He was in trouble in the grappling realm. But one thing about Shane Burgos is if you can't get him out of there, he's going to make you pay for it. In the second and third rounds, he will pour it on, and you got to watch out. So this is a dangerous fight for both fighters. It's taking place in the smaller octagon. Burgos, I was at his fight against Kurt Holoba, and right off the bat, he gets dropped with a left hook. And Kurt Holoba, I believe, 17-7 record, no longer with the UFC. If you make those mistakes against Josh Emmett, you're in trouble here. And I suspect we're going to see Josh Emmett come out early. And Burgos, if this fight ends up going long, I think Burgos will be able to get a decision victory. This fight is expected to end inside the distance, but the way I see it playing out, I see Emmett catching Burgos and ending this fight. The odds don't seem to suggest that. The odds are trending in the opposite direction. But I'm going to be picking Josh Emmett to come through in this spot. Should be a hell of a fight. And as far as DraftKings goes, Shane Burgos has been a tremendous point producer, and there's no reason to believe that he's not going to put up tremendous output in this spot. If Burgos is conscious at the end of this bout, he's going to put up a hell of a DraftKings score. So just be cognizant of that, and it's a very, very close fight. This is a coin flip fight in my eyes. So next up, we've got Curtis Blaydes taking on Alexander Volkov. We are at the main event of the evening. We're at about the 30-minute mark here for the breakdown show, so let's make this quick. I see Alexander Volkov, 31-2 record, and very impressive record on paper. Also solid striker, 6,800 in DK plus 320. Underdog, 9,400 on the other side of the fight. We've got Curtis Blaydes minus 440 at the betting window. This line at one point was down in the minus 220s. Now you've got Blaydes, 29 years of age, 13-2 record, no shame in losses to Francis Ngannou. The way I see this fight playing out, I think we're going to see Blaydes come out here, use his wrestling, put Volkov on his back, and get a TKO in the first, I'd say, 2 or 3 rounds. Volkov has shown he's got problems when he gets put on his back, and you could have the greatest stand-up in the world, and if you're not able to be on your feet, you're basically castrated in that spot. You can't get anything going. This fight's not expected to go to a decision at minus 385. Give me Curtis Blaydes to win inside the distance in this spot and get back to title contention. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. You can, if you're interested, you can get my plays over at MMA Oddsbreaker Premium. You can follow me on Twitter at MikesMMAPicks. You can follow me also at betmma.tips. And I'm on CapperTech as well. I want to thank everybody for making this part of their morning, and I appreciate all the support. If you could hit the like button, the folks at MMA Oddsbreaker would appreciate that. Also, thank you to the folks at BetDSI for helping support the podcast as well. Go get what's yours, my friends. This is your time to shine. Let's dominate the rest of our Saturday. Let's go!